start recording the whole session, so then we can use it also for later on, or you can go back and listen to it again, or so whatever. Now, I'm really thrilled about seeing you all here this evening on that Zoom webinar. It's about joining us in that project and listen about what we put together as a document you should have in hand. Maybe you already had the time to read it, maybe not. But first of all, there are some new faces we didn't see before. Let me introduce Lukas Sieber. He's the guy just waving now. Lukas Sieber is our technical director from the association. He was taking over the job of mine. I was technical director and director at the same time. These days, he is in charge of everything, who is together with the formation. That means when you have questions about ski instructors, about snowboard instructors, and all this kind of stuff, he is the man to talk to you. We will, at the end, put his contact into the chat, so you have the email address and whatever. That would be a good thing. So that's one part. Lukas Sieber. Myself, Roland Primus, I'm the director of the SSBS. I'm in the formation since the start, 86, so it's quite a while. I was founded one of the oldest schools of snowboarding together with the school in Schkuhl. We've been the first one in Switzerland who started doing snowboard teaching. I was also the person who changed the laws in Switzerland about free choice of open up a school. In the early days, that was not possible. It was only allowed if the local Swiss ski school agreed to that you could open up a snowboard school. So I didn't really like that, so I decided to start a legal case and did that up to the final decision of the general judge in Switzerland against the Canton Graubünden, and that made the whole area become open. So that's a little bit, it was a super interesting time, this 36 years as a technical director with a lot of hiccups. But today it's about what is the situation for the schools? How are the schools positioned these days on the market? What are the challenges and what are the options? And we wanted to give our schools a white paper, a possibility of how we as the association see the situation, how we think the market and the sport develops. And that's why we put that paper together. And first of all, the idea is that I briefly go through the paper with you. You're welcome to put questions. If you hesitate, you also can write it in the chat, so then I can read it and give answers to that, or you're free to raise your hand either like this or put a signal on, and then we can chat about it. At the end, we will come a little bit to a conclusion, and then we can also have a part of an open discussion, question and answers. That's about it. So Lukas and me will go through that whole thing with you. We're going right into that, into the start. And as you can see, the white paper starts with the function of the sports these days. Now, the function of the sport, as we know from the beginning, it was all about performance. Sport was, as we know, and I can say I'm one of the first generation born in '63 who started with sport from the beginning. My father, sport was nothing. He didn't know that. We are really the first generation, the baby boomers, where sport is a part of our life. And during that period, from being very focused on competition and on performance, sport changed. Sport has a new position these days. Sport, especially Red Bull with social media, becomes more about an identity. So these days, it's about having an identity, And it's also about living energy. It's about the topos of really have your body in balance and everything. So sport is not only about performance anymore. You have to see sport in a different way these days. And I can tell you, for a guy like me, this is pretty difficult, because for me, it's always competition, competition, competition. Sport is always be the fastest, be the highest, be the longest. That's not the case anymore these days. Sport has other objectives. So that's, especially for the older generation, important to considering. The new generation coming up now, sport will be different. Think about this. World Health Organization, WHO, give out a study. All the babies born today in the first world will most likely become 100 years old. So the babies we bring on the world today will be becoming much older than we, and sport will have a different perspective to them in the future. So that's one thing. So what is the function of the sport? The function of the sport did do change. Also, what is, we can see the whole part of the where the sport is taking a place in our life. And it's important to understand that also not only sport itself for the individual changes, it's also how sport is with the society. Which position does sport have with the society? So this is quite fairly explained and gives you a little bit an overview how the sport is. That means these days, sport becomes a social event, for instance. You know about this public viewing. People now go to public viewing because of the social aspect, and not because they are a fan of FC Barcelona or something. No, they go there because sport is a social event. So that's also a difference. It's not only about the fan, it's also about being there. And sport also becomes very extreme, where it becomes only let's take the long jumps, Schanzentournee and stuff like that. It becomes a festival. So it's not about a sport you would do. So sport changes. Sport as a physical education into a performance, into a social interacting, and also work. So sport will go into the work life. So that's probably a next step that you can see a little bit how sport will develop. And we also want to give you an insight more on a strategical way that you with your school maybe can change into the future, that your school who is still based on education. So basically, if we see these 7 points where people really interact with sport, one is entertainment. So they use sport to consume, watch TV, watch Schanzentournee, watch extreme skydiving, or next weekend, a fantastic occasion is SisiCon, the cliff diving from the Red Bull at the Urnersee. It's going to be a major social event, you know. It's this is entertainment. Then another thing is self-image. So sport is used as self-image. Sport also, especially with work, is this work-life balance. But let's face the fact, what's the work-life balance? If you're not working, most of the time, people will do sport. So this is an important thing too. Then try to imagine all the babies being born today, becoming 100 years old, sport becomes very important to guard your well-being, your physical abilities. Sport will become an obligation. And it's a big market with Apple Watches, Fitbits, apps, where you have a constantly control if you're really up to what you should do to keep yourself fit. So maybe you already are a part of that well-being and health sport society part to keep you up and running for a longer period. Now, where is the snowboard school situated in the moment? It's most about self-development, and that's where the school come into it these days. We develop the personalities, we develop it by educating people. It's about building an identity. And here, especially, I think about instructors and young kids. Often the young kids, they see the instructor as an idol, as a way to become. They want to become as their instructor. So that's very important to start to build an identity. And the schools are in these two fields, I would say, in that field here and in this field here. Sorry, I didn't understand that. Lucas, everything fine? You can hear me?
Yeah, it's all good. I think she spoke to somebody else.
Oh, okay.
He muted himself.
Okay, fine. No problem. So, and the last is the thrill. The thrill, especially Red Bull bought in all the thrills in sport. So that's something important also to consider, that this is probably not something a lot of schools are in, but some of the schools are probably doing somewhere in this. So this matrix should give you an overview that you should look out of the box sometimes. And there is also chances for you as a school owner, if you want to, or extend your possibilities, this society will change and sport will become, and you need to see these different options. It's always your choice at the end of the day, but we are here to give you the full picture, how we see that sport and society develops. Now this, as a third introduction on the field where we are, it's always important that this is not, we are not producing cow food here. So then we would have the development of the farming industry, but we are in the sporting industry. And that's why it's important to know about our industry and how our industry is perceived of the community. Now, for this, we can do a classic, what's called SWOT analyzing. SWOT analyzing is basically the fact of a strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. So in other words, Stärken, Chancen, Gefahren und Risiken. So a SWOT analysis gives you some ideas what is possible and where are the strengths and the weakness points of the whole thing. So this is basically, in a nutshell, the SWOT analysis of our snowboard schools in these markets we have. So what we did here, and this is nothing to do with the first part, this is now an analyzing of the market where we are in. And we taking a classic school in a winter sport resort as a snowboard or ski school, and what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses. First of all, you see the strengths of the schools these days is it's quite consolidated. That means there is not a lot of new schools coming in. Normally in the SSBS, one or two schools one or two schools drop out, and one or two schools come in newly. So that's quite a strong position to be in. That means we do not have a lot of competition coming in and going out. So it's quite a stable market. Then the quality of the service, and that's now very important to understand. If you look at the second point below 4.11, the second point says the quality of the service level in big schools is good. Now, some small schools now may be offended and think, what he's talking about? I mean, I'm doing some good service as a small school, but see it out of the eye of the consumer. As big as the school is, normally they can offer more variation in lessons, and they have a bigger choice of selections on levels. And this is also recalled as a service. So keep that in mind, because you will later on see a little bit why that is important to understand if this is a strength or if it's a weakness of yourself. Then also a strength of the general market is that the SSBS is quite a good formation. It's a stable formation. It's there since a long time, and everybody has access to it. And it's accessible for a lot of people because it's in this country. So you don't have to go away. It's understandable in all the languages and so forth and so back. As well, what we offer is permanently developed on a level, and also we have a rider system. And from this year on, we also will have a rider system ski. So also for the skier, there will be a system where it's similar to the rider system. Now, these are our strengths. Which are the weak point? Basically, the weak point is, in general, snowboarding was decreasing. Don't look too much on the last year. The last year was good, hopefully for all of you. It was very good for us, and I'm sure it was also good for you the last winter. I'm very grateful, but don't take that for granted. The Corona years were a little bit up and down, but looking at the last 10 years, the tendency is either stable or slightly decreasing. Another weakness is the formation on the final course. So achieving the national diploma is very expensive, it's long, and not a lot of people want to do it. Why do I say that? I just give you one number. How many people are working in Switzerland every year as a ski or snowboard instructor? Oh, it's not right in here. Oh, that's really bad. No. I'm sorry, I have a little bit an issue with my, 7,500 instructors are working every year in a ski school in the winter season. How many are doing the final exam and become Schneesportlehrer mit eidgenössischem Fachausweis? 120. So we obviously have a problem. You cannot have a workforce of 7,500 people and only 120 finish the formation. This is a problem in Switzerland. It is a weakness, and we address that weakness to all level, national, regional, to the commissions we're in. And we think we should change that because it's a weakness. We should have much more because we know mostly of the time people stay for 3 or 4 years. So we would need more likely 2,000 people finishing the course every year. That would be much more a good thing. Financial, it's a weakness. And also a big weakness is the point that you often depend on the lift companies, on the big players, huge hotel complexes, on the tourist office. because we are just a little bit small. Margins are not great. Margins are limited. And also often the weakness is schools and destinations often don't understand their market. So keep in mind, this is an analysis over Switzerland of the strength and weak point. Now, chances are also brought up here. And what you can see here is basically an idea, and that's you see here on the graphic. The idea is that you are able, with your strong points, make a chance become an advantage. And also with your weakness, try to see how you can develop market. So I won't go into details of the whole thing, but in this diagram, we try to show you how you can take a weakness into a strength or vice versa. I hope you understand. And also you can see like risk are minimized by strength. So the risk of a disruption of the model can be done if you take in consideration strengthen your relationship to customers. So this gives you kind of options what you can do as an action plan to minimize the risk and the weaknesses to become a threat. This is the chances here. So this will give you. I probably would stop here because maybe there is a question, maybe somebody does not 100% understand the SWOT analysis. So please feel free to ask here if you understand what that SWOT analysis will give you. Is there anybody not about 100% sure or no? Okay, oh, that's good. I'm glad that means the right people sitting here. So now we become a little bit to a more defined strategy. Because basically, once we have the SWOT analyzing done, we can now say, okay, with the SWOT analyzing, we can see how we can turn in our weaknesses and our strength to our favor. But still, we need a general strategy. We need a strategy as a business on the long run. And the strategy is about positioning. Now, I can tell you from my own experience, positioning, I did not understand for many years. What is positioning? The brand Snowboard School Primus was created by luck. I was just at the beginning and I was in the formation. So my name was spread over and that's why it became a brand, because constantly spread over. Okay, it took 30 years to become a brand, but I never was thinking about positioning. And these days it becomes much more important because with your strength and with your chances and with your destination, you need to understand in which position you want to present your business. Now, positioning, there are a few possibilities. And basically here on that graphic, you see 4 possibilities. This is on page 9. Now, these 4 possibilities you see, we do recommend only the 2 on the left side. We do not recommend the 2 on the right side because that has a certain reason. Because the 2 on the right side are the aggressive way of being the cheapest one. And the bottom one is to be in selective parts very cheap. Now, on the left side, there is more about quality, it's more about performance of the product. It's more about the advantage of being better, of a niche and the quality in that niche. Why do we recommend the left two sides? Because the right ones are not so suitable for the structure of a ski and snowboard school. I give you an example. A hotel has 120 rooms. Now this hotel needs 40 rooms occupied to break even. That means if they have 40 rooms full with people, they have break even. They can pay all the costs, the staff, the electricity, the bank loan, and everything. Now they have another 80 rooms where they can sell it. And for every room they sell, it's profit. So they can say, let's fix 40 rooms and the rest of the 80 rooms, we go really aggressive in January. We're going to be the cheapest. 4-star hotel, $50 a night. They're going to be full. But they can do it because they have that finance structure. Now, what is our business? Our business is based on 65 to sometimes 80% cost of production, meaning your salary to your staff. 65, 70, 75%, depending on your model. Now, can you be aggressive in January? No, you cannot. Because one teacher is one client. How are you going to scale that up? You cannot scale it up. Private lessons are unscalable. Yes, you can have 200 people giving private lesson, but your profit margin will be always the same. It will always be 20%. Now, with the hotel, the profit margin is going up much bigger. That's the beauty of our business, but it's also on the other side, it's not in favor to try to compete with cost. This is basically what I want to say. And I give you a little bit, even a more simpler version of that. I have a very simple formula I use always to never be on the right side and to satisfy the customer. I say, look, it's very simple in my mind. It's 3 things: cheap, fast, or quality. The customer can have 2 of these 3, but never all 3. He can have very good and very cheap, but then he needs to come in January in the afternoon when I have nothing to do and give him a better deal. He can have also very quick and very good, but don't estimate that to be cheap. Because if you're coming for very quick in the high season and you want the best lesson in the morning, it's going to cost you a leg and a tail. Okay? Or the other way around, you can have very quick and very cheap. Okay, but then it's not going to be good. And this one I never sold. Okay, I stepped away from this job. But this is a very simple formula to not fall into a trap. You cannot, with your business model, you cannot do all the 3. And don't be fooled by other businesses in your area, like lift company, like hotels or tour operator, where they do that. Because your financial structure, your business model is not suitable for this. And we see that quite often. Lucas knows it in the courses of the ski director or snowboard school directors courses. Often they try the impossible, and they try to be cheap, quick, and super quality, all in the same three. And they try to compete in cost. They try to be the cheapest. They try to be very cheap in one moment. Guys, this side, we do not have the model. This is basically the message. So we have two possibilities. We can either be strategically the leader in quality, or we can be strategically the leader in a selective quality. What is the difference? The strategy in quality is a good quality service with a broad assortment of products. Let's say ski and snowboard and Kinderland and private and on top some VIP stuff. So this is quality in strategical way on a broad. Now the selective quality is only taking a niche. Outdoor, powder, free ride, only this. No kindergarten, no ski school, only split board, powder boarding, and so on. Or a big, great example for this is Jörg Egli. Jörg Egli is doing carving hard boots. Since the first day, since 30 years, he positioned himself as a niche, a quality niche, and he is worldwide the specialist. He goes all over the places, Aspen, Cortina d'Ampezzo, Switzerland, France, it's Japan. He is known all over, but a very, very limited niche. And these two strategies, either be the quality leader or to be the quality leader in a niche, are where we see the future of the schools. And we hope that you, with that speech, do understand a little bit better to tailor your business into that field. And this is what we see and what we think is important. Now, what is important to be the leader in quality and to be the leader in a niche? Basically, we can say both have to have a good quality understanding of what they do as a product. It cannot be a cheap product. The quality leader on a big strategically, he needs to have a very close contact relationship with his clients. This is very important. I talk about this guy here. CRM, customer relation management, is very important here. That because you have a big client group you want to serve. So you have constantly be engaged with that group. So this is much more difficult than Jörg Egli. He only needs a little account, and that's about it. Now that's one part. Then another part is the quality leader in a selective course here. He needs to be very innovative.
Roland, deine Kamera ist irgendwie ausgegangen.
Yeah, my battery is dead. I'm sorry. I will switch over later on. Don't worry. You can hear me. So that's very important. Down there, you need to be innovative. If you're not innovative, you're not going to be the leader there. So you need the latest gear. You need to have always new products coming. You need new programs. This is very important. Now here, it's more about the relationship with the big community, and also the price cannot be too high. Because if the price is too high, what is the biggest risk? Competition. Because if you raise the price too high and you have a lot of volume, this is attracting competition like honey is attracting flies. So one of the secrets is to have a very good price performance relation. This is important. Now, down here, price is not such an issue. You can be much more outgoing with the pricing, because it's just about you're the leader in that small niche. But if you're up here, it's not about the leader position. It's about a good quality and a broad audience and a big group of customers. So these are strategically ideas where you position your business yourself. Now, for sure, if you're in a very small area with not so many clients, then it's difficult. It's a surviving job because maybe the niche, it's too small, or there is no niche. You don't have the big outdoor stuff. You don't have a big possibility to focus to a niche. And on the other hand, it's very difficult in your area to have enough people to have a broad quality product. So it also depends a little bit where you are positioned. So you have to look for these opportunities, and you have to find a way to tailor your business to your destination and everything. But this means, back again, that you need a certain kind of position where you really can say, okay, this is the position I want to be in, and that's what I'm looking for, basically, and that's it. So I don't know if there is any question on this part about positioning your business. I mean, for sure, I give an example. I may do so, Ivan, you hopefully don't mind, but let's take the school in Laax. The school in Laax is definitely a very unique position because, first of all, they have the quality and they have the leadership in quality on the mountain. And on top of that, because they have a big audience and they are big, and they know they have to engage with their people very importantly, on top of that, they position themselves also on the freestyle part. So that means they're strategically is positioned as the leader in quality, not in a niche, but with a freestyle attitude. Now, on the other side on the mountain, we can say, it's my school, or my former school was also a big school, is also a big school for a good quality known, but I'm much more focused on teaching and stylish snowboarding. So we both were not specialists. We both have more quality on a strategical level, but we positioned ourselves differently on the market. So that's why Ivan was never seen from my side as a concurrent. And I guess it was also the opposite from the other side, because we had complete different positions on the market, and their position was done by the lift company who invested heavily in the freestyle. So they would be foolish not to grab that chance and position themselves in that environment. My destination here, they'd never know where they want to position themselves. So I needed to position myself very, very clearly on what I wanted to do. So there was no external factor or help. If you are in Davos, it's more about free riding. It's more about all the off-piste stuff they have, because just by nature, it's more a free rides thing. Still there, you can choose. Do you want to be the broad quality leader, or do you want to be the niche expert in doing that? Like Martin Ruckli, our chief of Avalanche, is doing. He is a niche specialist in Davos. He positioned himself there. And then there is the schools who are really big, and they try to be the quality leader. Now this, it's about positioning and it's about strategy. These two things, I think it's very important. Check the SWOT analyze, look what's in there for you. Think about the sport develops, and then choose, or it's maybe too late for choosing, but start to focus more and try to work your business into more or one or the other direction. Slowly build it up and see where you are. Make a reflection, and then just with that knowledge, try to be more focused on the one or the other. With the things we gave you here, focus on these points, make sure you pay attention to these points, and your business will become more successful. Now, I don't know if there is any question on this one, or are you okay? Nothing. Everybody is fine. So let's just try to change over again to the graphic. Yeah, that should work. You cannot, there's another option here. I'm sorry about that interruption of my camera disturbed, so I need a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Okay, you can see the next graphic. Now we come to a point. I want to explain this very clearly because I have a fear, honestly. I have a fear for our industry, and I have a fear for our schools. And the fear is down to online platforms. Yeti, Ski2 Master, Ski 2000, all these platforms who try to persuade you to go onto the platforms. I have a fear, and I do explain you why. And what is my fear? My fear is that you jump on these platforms where your business model is not suitable for this one. It's the same problem with the hotel, okay? Our financial business model is not suitable for what these platforms want to do, because these platforms are after your profit. They are not here to help you. They are after your profit. And the problem is, you can say, okay, great. I invest a part of my profit if I have a return on invest. But I will now explain you why the chances that that will happen is nearly zero. Okay, let's go ahead. Now I have to change over. Okay, now everything becomes a little bit more cumbersome. Okay, this is called the marketing funnel or the digital sales funnel. What do I mean with that? You have to understand one thing. Here, your client is at the beginning, huh? And it's not your client yet. And hopefully here at the end, it becomes your client and gives you some dollar, and you can provide some service, huh? That's the deal. Now, first of all, let's look at the journey of your client. Maybe he sees on television something and he talks to a friend, or he has on a party, somebody told him a story. So he got inspired. He has an idea. He checks Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and suddenly he thinks, next time I'm going to logs. Now he starts Googling, he looks videos, he looks Instagram, he maybe does even the Instagram tags, logs, and then he starts his research. Once he has that, he gonna confirm the ID with the checking of his lodgement. First of all, the poor boy, oh, sorry, I'm getting really stupid. First of all, the guy needs a place to sleep and the roof over him. This is the first decision he will take. And there he wants to spend money. Once he has that, he is secure, he can go. Then he makes a booking for the flights. And then once he is arriving at the spot, now he searches about other possibility. Now he looks on Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, Booking, Google, and he now finds the so-called fifth wheel on the car. Huh? The fifth wheel on the car, unfortunately, we are considered the fifth wheel. So that means he's not making the booking up front and then checking the hotel and then checking the flights. We are at the end, at the far end of the whole journey. That doesn't need to be when he is in your spot, but he definitely already booked the hotel, got his journey together, planned everything, and now maybe he looks also up front for a school or for a lesson. But very important is you're not going to make an impact before. So forget about the idea that before here, you're not going to be a decision maker. No way. So I don't say there is not an exception. There were people, they buy even an apartment because they like your school, but bloody else, it's 3 out of 80,000. It's not the majority. So the main people, they start booking, everything is secured. Now, first of all, saying this is very important to understand. If you invest in advertising before on a worldwide audience, it's like spending money for nothing. You need to start spending money once he is checking on what is actually available once he booked. So, and for sure, in that moment, who are the big players? Lift companies and tourist offices and large hotels. These are the big players once they actually have that on top. And in mind comes definitely the lift companies with their new pricing models about giving cheaper tickets if you book earlier. So they force the people to start earlier to look for the bookings. So that's a very good platform to hop on and to be present. But everything before, it's just waste of money. So my recommendation, and not only mine, it's all the experts who were working on that paper, is focus on your marketing dollars. Spend them in the moment you know the people are actually finished with their search. So this is, like I said, big hotel complexes, lift companies, tourist office websites, still a great source of doing advertising. And locally. Now, a platform like Yeti Ski or Ski to Top or whatever it is, they promise you of selling you more customers, but very difficult to do that because they're not going to drag customers to you because they're not in the position to change that funnel of decision making. They're too small. That they don't have the impact, and they're not going to bring you out and taking people from either, instead of going to Montana, now going to Zinal or going to Laax. It's just not going to happen. Not these days, maybe in 10 years, but I doubt, because they're too small. So all they can do is maybe make it a little bit more convenient in the moment the person is already in the area. But you already have the people there. The decision is already made. So you pay somebody to make the booking for you in a time the people already took the decision. Because they're not going to change the decision of the person when they go to ski. They're not going to change the decision of the person where they go to ski, and they're not going to change the decision of the person how much they're going to spend for your school. It's not happening. Because the people don't search for ski and snowboarding lessons firsthand. They search for accommodation, they search for train tickets, for flight tickets. They look at the journey, how they can go there. And then once they are there, or once they did the decision, now they look for the booking. So what you're gaining? Nothing. Because they can't fill you the holes. And they only bring you troubles when you already have a lot of to do. And now the last and most important thing is how you're going to finance them. Look, this is an overview, and this is basically the hotel with his fixed cost. Once they arrive the fixed cost, and once they come to the point where the variable cost hits the inbound, they already from here onward have profit. But our problem is we have fixed cost keeping up with the income, because you're going to pay 65 to 70% of your intake is going out for salaries. So you cannot scale, you cannot clone your teacher for free to give private lessons. And you cannot put 50 people in a class. These days are gone, and it's definitely not the quality leadership anymore. So you are limited in these possibilities. So that means our financial structure of the business on this model has a disadvantage on this model. But guys, it's a fantastic model, because if you do not have work, you do not have fixed costs, only the little ones who are your offices and your yearly workers. But let's face the fact, we produce products, lessons, and we just bring in the workers and pay them if they produce. this is a very, very good position. But it's not suitable for these models because we are not scalable like a hotel or like a lift company. A lift company needs 5,000 people a day. If they have 16,000 people, fantastic. They make profit on the 11,000, but they need every day 5,000 people. Once they have it, they can scale, and then for them it's interesting to get whatever. And even if it's only on a 10% profit, it's fantastic because they have a scalable model. We do not. And this is a very important to understand on the whole thing. That's about it. So you see why my fear is there, that you drop in that mousetrap of these things. And I'm always asking myself something. Who is working for whom? Or I am working for the platform, or is the platform working for me? And I did not see yet the platform who is working for me. I always saw only the platform where I was working for the platform. It's other if you have a hotel or ski lift company, because they have another business model. Advantages, disadvantages. But Uber, for instance, the question is, who is working for whom? Is the driver working for the client, or is the driver working for Uber? You can put your question, you can guess the answer. The driver is working for Uber, and Uber is not there for the driver. And so don't be fooled. But Uber is working. Why? Because it's convenient for the client. Because he needs a cab, a taxi now. And the failure of the taxi company was what? They didn't get it, that WhatsApp or something like that would be the chances for them to get the client. Because it's just a problem to find the taxi. So that's why Uber was coming handy. But you're better off as a taxi driver than an Uber driver. Now, Lucas, did I forget something?
I can maybe add some few points from my perspective also as a web business owner.
Yeah, that's very important to understand, because Lucas is the technical director, but on his private field, he has a web company. He's actually in that digital funnel completely, because he does web strategies for multiple businesses. Please, Lucas.
Yeah, so I think maybe we have to say a bit why this white paper came together was because people asked us to analyze the platforms and basically give feedback from our side and maybe help the schools to get onto these platforms. That's why we put this together. What I can say from the web perspective and also from the social media perspective is that it's an important tool nowadays, of course. So that doesn't mean that we don't go online. We have to be online. We have to be in certain areas online. That's also a bit individual depending on the business you're running or the type of products you are selling. What's your niche basically in the skiing or snowboarding? And what I see in the general or a general problem I see with clients when they put themselves online is that they say, yeah, we have to do social media. And then they go on Facebook and they go on Instagram and they put up stuff. And maybe I can quickly share the screen as well. If you look at this graphic with where the clients are, if they're in the inspiration part or in the research part, or if they already decided where they are. And you can see pretty much everywhere the online tools. And now the question is, when we do marketing online, where we put information in which context, at which stage. So if you put up online marketing, let's say on Instagram for research, the content obviously needs to be a bit different than if they are, for example, in the booking part. So it doesn't really make sense to just do something, because then you're kind of blowing energy and money into the ether, and hope you hit some clients.
So basically what you're saying, Lucas, when I understand right, is if you have an Instagram account, it's better to focus on the local action in the moment and the decision making of taking a classes, then instead of trying to reach the most client out in the world for inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. So like you were saying before, if you would make Facebook ads or Facebook content for inspiration, you would need to hit so many people to get a few who will maybe end up at your school finally. So that's, like you were saying before, a lot of money going out for not much return. So your return on investment is going to be really bad.
So that would be the same if we take, just to understand that a little bit, I'm not so much in the digital, but let's say I would do an advertising in the Times in London for being the best school in the world. This would do me not great, but it would do me great if I advertise in the newspaper from the tourist office, and it's still a paper ad. Is this a little bit what you're saying?
Yeah. So what we have to, or the way we should look at it is where, like, let's say the people they have decided they go to Lux or wherever, to Verbier or whatever. So they are in that area. Mentally, when they go online, they are in that area. So what we need to do when we do online marketing, whatever it is, if it's an ad or if it's like social media stuff, we have to narrow it down into this region. That's one thing. And that's on social media. It's really simple. You can say, okay, hashtag this with Verbier and so on. So you can narrow it down. So when people are looking for it, they will find it once they are in that mindset looking for stuff in Verbier. And the other one is, what I say my customers usually is, you don't want to find the people who look for ski or skiing. So it's not about one word or private lesson or 2 words. It's a private lesson in Verbier Advanced. So it's usually a few words together. And it's the service included, it's the location included, and then the special type of product. That's when the people buy. So it's not that you are basically just putting in, oh, I'm a ski school offering lessons. Yeah, that's nice, but it's too wide. And the social media and the online world is a really, really good opportunity to do that, to localize it down if you go on the social media part. So what I would do first is, like we were saying before, Roland was saying, tourist office, local community brands or hotels, bigger ones, to get into these channels. Maybe there is some magazines, local magazines, or whatever there is. Try to be in there. And then once you go into the social media part, narrow it down into the location and your service pretty specific.
What did you say? You said service, location, level, and product. Huh? That was basically what you said.
Yeah, location, service, and then maybe the level. Yeah. So these are at least the 3 you need as a ski school, I think.
Product, yeah.
So we are basically on the right side here. We are at the 5th point, maybe at the 4th point, but not really much before.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to add. And I think also that Google Ads is probably not the right way to go for a ski school. That's something people also ask me a lot in the courses. Yeah, try to get a good website, which is kind of optimized for your local area. That's going to make a big, easy impact because people will look locally. And then you have to go, you have to be in the search engine at the top. And if you go into platforms, if you choose a platform, choose platforms which are local and not these lesson platforms.
Also, mostly local platforms or services you already pay by being a part of the tourist community.
Yes, usually you can do that for free. If you ask, or you have to pay a little fee to get a bit additional information in there, or maybe have a bit better rank or a better position in the tourist office webpage. But yeah, that's an easy approach to be kind of spread out locally in the internet.
And there I want to add something. If you go to speak with the tourist office and stuff like that, it's quite important that you have your strategy right and your positioning, because then for them it's easier to sell you, because these salespeople in the tourist office, they want to sell, but they have only 10 seconds in front of a client, and they need to have a clear message of what is your position. So if you say, look, I'm for a long time now, I positioned myself as the specialist for split boarding tour, they will always refer to you because you have a clear position. Or if you refer to yourself, I'm the quality leader in skiing and snowboarding teaching, they will position yourself and they will drive the client to you. But it's important that they do understand where is your position. So that makes it easier to drive then the customer to you because they have a clear understanding what are you doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of small businesses don't really know exactly their strategy and their niche. That's not an offense to anybody, but it's often a bit the case. And it's a process, like Roland, you were saying, that it was kind of by accident that you built your name and now 20, 30 years later, you understand it. I can say a bit the same over the last 12, 13, 14 years with my business. But the niche is kind of the core thing in your business. And yeah, I think that's good if we really know that precisely and stand for it.
It would probably take me if I would have had that speech in the beginning, it would probably only take me 8 years and not 30 years. That's what I want to say, basically. So it is still work. It still needs done, but I hope you had a little bit an insight. And like Lucas said, it was down from a situation because people were asking us about these platforms and why are the SSBS is not doing a platform like this. We were thinking about, we had a project, but honestly, we just don't have the funds. And it would be so costly and everybody would need to join and give a part of the profit. We just didn't see the model. So that's first of all. So SSBS was thinking about that because we just don't have the fund of reaching every person who wants to go to Switzerland skiing. This is just too much money. Try to imagine Swiss tourism got like 70 million for internet platform every year from our taxes. So Swiss tourism is doing that. Now, you can ask if they do a great job or not, but that's not my answer. The question is just, if they have 70 millions, so we probably need like 20 millions. So it's just too much. It was just not doable. And that's why we're also confident to say it's not working. So coming back to that document, we said, actually, this is not really the big problem. And if they ask in their question, they should first have the SWOT analyze and think about their positioning. That will help them quite a lot. And this is a service we can provide, and also a service we can finance and bring it clearly over. So that's why we worked on that document, and that's why we're doing that speech. So and we're also here to help and to see. I'm just going to write the emails down of Lucas and of myself. And then you can write us an email, or when you have questions later on, we are here. We are free to answer. I don't know if there is any question from the audience. Maybe Tina, you had some reflections you wanted to know about, or some question marks, or
I don't have any questions, but thank you.
You're welcome. So.
Yeah, one thing I want to do, which is kind of similar with the new kind of approaches how businesses go. You were mentioning at the beginning that big companies start really to have like fitness centers in their bureaus and so on. And a friend of mine, he was also self-employed as a small business one-man show, and he put in his contract, just because I was like, yeah, that's cool. He put in his contract in the working hours that you have to do 1.5 hours sports per week. Yeah, so it's a new kind of way of thinking. And I think as a ski school, or maybe as a business, snowboarding, whatever it is related on the snow, maybe there is approaches you can take with businesses to offer them kind of special niche products for their workforce, not like team building, but kind of something in this direction, because I'm sure it's coming big very soon, that they try to do more stuff like that the people get more motivated.
And I give you an example for this. We have created a product, and that's how it's called, Claudia, the product we created, the day on Saturday with all-inclusive. It's basically, it's an all-inclusive ski days for people who never stand on the skis or snowboard. It's including the gear, the lift ticket, the food, the lesson, everything at the very competitive price. And what we have are mainly expats and people from company where they go for a ski day or a ski weekend, but they have like 10 people, 10 Indian programmers, they can't ski. So what they going to do? They cannot go. But with that program, they can use that day all-inclusive. They can pop it into our school and then see him at the little hut above there, and they can all have an après ski together. Just these little things are starting to pop up. And that's a little bit what Luca thought. We're not saying there is a big market out in the moment, but that's why we just say, hey, keep an eye on. The sport is changing his face.
Mm.
Okay, if there is not more from your side, it was a pleasure to Lucas and me to have you here this evening. Thank you very much for coming so numerous. And whenever there is something, please feel free to address. And would be great to have a little email. I just write it down. Mine is pretty simple, Primus at SSBS.com.
Yeah, mine is Lucas at SSBS.
And the other one is Lucas at SSBS.ch. Why I'm saying com? Because I'm speaking English, I'm stupid. So This is Lucas, his address. You can see in the thing.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. Yes, exactly. And this is my one is here. Oops. Yep, that's it from our side. So I wish you hopefully a great season. A lot of powder, guys. Go powder snowing, and hopefully see you another time. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good.